Hello and welcome to Sophia Wisdom. My name is Maria Benning, and over the next set of weeks I'm going to be talking to you about a number of topics that are of interest to me and to many others. Things like global warming, what is the impact of that on us, and is it inevitable? I'll be talking about what's happening with our children. Why are so many of them seeming to be autistic? Why are so many of them being born at a low birth rate? I'll talk about the challenges between men and women, and are we really from different planets? I'll talk about healing. I'll talk about quantum physics and what it is and why you should care. What I'd like to do first is tell you how I came to be a channel for Sophia. In the summer of 2005, I was working in San Francisco as a human resources professional, and I was extremely ill. I had been ill for about 20 years, but through Western medicine, I was able to manage it enough to where I could work. Although I will say that before I moved out to San Francisco, I had been sick for about 13 months and didn't work at all. By the time I moved out to California, I felt like I was ready to get back into the workplace, so I felt fairly strong at that time. But within a few short months after taking on this really high-pressure job, my health got worse than it had ever been. I had had a couple of diagnoses of autoimmune disorders. The first one was called Hashimoto's thyroiditis, which is an immune disorder wherein the thyroid begins to attack itself. And that created about 25 different symptoms that I had to live with. The last diagnosis that I had, which was really not yet confirmed but suspected, was of lupus. And what I was feeling in my body was as if I'd been hit by a Mack truck. I was in such pain, and I had no energy left. And by the time I was at my worst, I was barely able to feed myself. I could hardly walk from the bed to the bathroom. And I was just feeling as if after 20-something years of illness that I had had about enough. And in fact, I really felt as if my spirit were leaving my body. I felt quite at peace about that because I had had enough of pain. And one night when I was at my very worst and I could feel my spirit leaving my body, I began to pray to God. And that wasn't anything I had ever done before. But I asked God that night to either heal me from the pain or take me now, because I just couldn't take any more of this. I couldn't handle another day. Needless to say that next morning I woke up and I was still here, still in a lot of pain. But I thought about a girlfriend of mine in Germany who I had reconnected with a couple of years prior. And she had been running an alternative healing practice there for about 14 years. So I phoned her up and I told her what was going on with me. And she told me to try a number of things. She suggested that I go see an acupuncturist. She talked to me about getting on Chinese herbs. And mind you, I had tried all of those things before, along with Western medicine. So while I was giving myself shots for the migraines, I was also seeing acupuncturists for pain, and I had done Chinese medicine several times throughout the years. So I said I would give it another try. She also asked me to look into something called body talk, which I had not ever heard of, and she said also to look into the reconnection. And she said that I needed to do it in that particular order. So I thought, okay, here she is. She's been doing this very successfully for a long time. Maybe she knows something that I don't know and that I haven't yet discovered. So I did what she told me to do. Within, I would say, a day, I started to feel better. And this was before I even went to see the acupuncturist. So when I got off the phone with her and went to bed again, what I noticed as I was lying in bed on my side in a fetal tuck, trying to deal with the pain, crying because of the pain, is that my body began to jerk really severely. And along with that, so my hands were twitching like this and my legs were moving all about, and my body was jerking like that. And as my eyes were closed, they were moving around in rapid eye movement, unlike anything that I'd ever experienced when I was asleep. So they were moving in different directions. And it was as if they were separate, not moving together, but almost as if it was impossible. It was really amazing. And I felt like I must have looked like something out of The Exorcist. I'm not sure why I wasn't afraid of what was going on, but somehow I trusted it. So this way that my body was moving about, I came to learn later on that this is called an indicator or a register of reconnective healing. And over the next, I'd say, 3 weeks or so, this continued really remarkably in my body. It was just an incredible experience. And as that was happening, I was beginning to communicate with Jesus Christ. And I can tell you that that was quite a surprise for me, because when I was growing up in the Catholic Church, I did not feel a particular connection to Jesus Christ. I felt far more connected to Mary. So suddenly I'm hearing from Jesus, and it is as if he is there in the room with me. I'm not seeing him, but I'm hearing him and feeling him with me. And literally, I felt like he came to save me. And I just continued to trust that this was something that was very powerful, very profound, very positive. And sure enough, over a really rapid period of time, I began to be able to, again, feed myself. I lived very close to the bay in San Francisco, and so I started to walk around the bay. And at the beginning, it was as if I were an old lady shuffling along. But, you know, over time, over really a very short period of time, that began to change, and I was able to move a bit more rapidly. Now, I wasn't breaking any barriers there, breaking any records, but I definitely knew that something very positive was happening. So this healing crisis that I went through seems to have opened up a remarkable ability in me to commune with Spirit. At first, it was through Jesus that I was hearing, and over time, I began to commune more with a number of different entities, to where the most profound thing that happened was when I began to hear from this entity who calls herself Divine Sophia. She has now become my primary guide, and I have, over the last year and a half or so, been channeling her voice, her words for other people. I do this in public formats. I do this one-on-one with clients, and I use the information to help me to serve. So this show is about offering you a taste of the wisdom that I have been a part of and been really blessed to receive. What channeling is really just allowing an energy to come through, a very positive, a very beautiful, a very high energy to come through and speak through my voice. So what I do is I basically put my own will, my own ego, if you will, aside and allow this to happen. And when I begin this here shortly, you're going to see that my hands move around quite a bit like this. But for me, the best way to experience this is for you to have your eyes closed. Mine will close, mine will open up periodically, but if you can close your eyes and allow yourself to feel what is happening, you will actually be able to physically feel this within your own body. If you want them open, it's fine, but it just makes it a little bit easier. So what I'm going to begin here is just a moment of quiet where I allow the energy to come fully strong within me. And I'm going to ask that you do the same, that you just get quiet within. I usually begin these sessions by putting a light, a pyramid light around myself, and I'll just direct that outwards as well. But it's as if I am sitting within a pyramid of light. There's 4 sides, and there's a square base, and then that pyramid extends on down below into the earth. And so these 2 bases meet one another. And that is just a balancing tool that I use, that I learned about through Tom Kenyon's website. And you can Google him and find him online to read about this holon of balance, is what this is called. And then I just remember in my heart, here actually in the organ itself, I remember the feelings of love and gratitude that I have for how dramatically my life has changed and been blessed by this experience of connecting with divine.